everybody. Welcome to the Planetary Pull for September 17th, 2014. I'm Aitch, and with me today is Alex.
Hey.
What's going on, man?
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to be here.
I just grabbed this guy off the street. He was walking around looking aimlessly, came to a comic book shop, said, hey, give me some comics. So I brought him in. You know, he came, so I took him in. So what's been going on, man?
Not much. I'm just really excited to be doing this. First time I've been in the store a bunch, and I've seen the show a few times, so I was excited to come out and sort of talk about some books and stuff this week.
Right, so hopefully Alex will help us out not only with this, but, you know, some other things going on with Pop Culture Uncovered. And as usual, we're going to talk about some comics this week. But before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to my friend Mike Hopkins, who gave me a shirt that fits. I got this at Baltimore Comic Con. You saw the back of it.
I didn't see that. Oh.
Yeah.
Very nice.
This is for a book that he's doing, so we turn around. I want y'all to see Jack Ryder and all of his glory. Yeah, Mike, thank you. You got me a shirt that fits, because you know what I hate? Is I go to shows and I go to events and people always have these t-shirts that they want to give out. Hey, you look like a big enough guy, take this extra large.
Yeah. It's only extremely large or extremely small.
Right, it's like a medium.
Nothing in between that anyone can actually wear.
This fits me, and I'm so happy. I have a shirt that fits. At least it'll fit through the first 2 or 3 washes. Then maybe it'll shrink down a little tighter. We'll find out. But I want to give everyone a heads up as well that in about 2 weeks, that should be the weekend of September the 27th, the Baltimore Book Fair will be in Baltimore. It's usually held at the Washington Monument, but since they're repairing Baltimore's version of the Washington Monument, they're holding it down at the Inner Harbor. It's, I believe, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's free. Free, that's the key word.
Yeah, it's a good reason to go.
Yes. So, I'm not sure if Big Planet themselves have committed to going. It's a Peter question. I haven't asked Peter yet, but I'm definitely going.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to try and check it out.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to go to Small Press Expo last weekend?
I did not, unfortunately. I went home to see family, but I'm really sad I missed that one.
Yeah, I missed it also, but we had a friend of ours by the name of Joe Thacker, which I want to thank for actually going. He covered it, saw some great things out there. Somebody actually got married to comics.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a whole, but it's more than what you could imagine that it was. So.
Yeah, I can only imagine what that ceremony looked like.
Yeah, so good deal. But let's go on and get into some books this week. I'm actually going to start off with an Archaea book called The Storytellers. It's Jim Henson's The Storytellers by S.M. Vidari. This book right here. And this is tale 1 of 4, so it looks like from the looks of these books, they will be one and dones, because I read through this entire book and I was really amazed by the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, art is very, very good. Now, the only thing that kind of got me was initially going in, it was a little bit hard to keep up with the story, because you had seemingly 2 different pieces of dialogue being told from points of view, but as the story got on, it got better and it started making sense. And it's about a young princess and a witch who are kind of one and the same kinds of people. They love the forest, they love the woods, and in the meantime, the father, who has never really conquered the particular forest that he lives on, decided that he's going to cut down the tallest tree and make a crown out of the tree. Now, of course, that's like a big waste of resources. We're going to cut down a huge tree.
Seems a bit much, but...
Yeah, it's a bit excessive. So the Lord of the Forest, which is the rabbit antlered character that you see on the front, he's the Lord of the Forest. So he places a curse on the crown, saying that whoever wears the crown will be cursed if it's a king. So I don't want to give it all away, but things happen and things don't always turn out the way that you want it. But what I liked is that this is one of those few comic books that felt like a kid's tale. And, the funny thing was when I read it, okay, you've seen Lord of the Rings. Right, the very first one. Yeah. And you know how they had the prologue.
Read the whole half-hour prologue or whatever.
Yeah. That's kind of how this read to me. I could imagine like the Kate Blanchett's voice reading this book to me.
That must have been a nice read then.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good read all the way through. And I could say it didn't end like I expected. I liked the ending. It didn't end how I expected it to be, but definitely a good first look. So if you want something that I would say you could even read to your child, if you have maybe a 5-6-year-old child and you wanted something that's short and easy to get into, give this a try.
Yeah.
So what's your first book for this week, man?
So my first book this week is Thor God of Thunder 25, which is sort of the finale of this. If you're sort of following Marvel or Thor stuff right now, you know that there's some big changes coming. I think the next month is the start of Thor #1.
Right, the whole Marvel Axis thing going on, yeah.
So there's going to be big changes coming. So I picked this up hoping to figure out, because I won't try and spoil too much about it, but there's big things coming, and I was sort of hoping this book would have some of the answers of what was going to be happening. And it doesn't quite tell you everything that's going on, but what it does tell you is 2 kind of short stories. The writers, Jason Aaron, and the usual artist, Assad Ribics, does a few of the things here and there, but there's 2 newer artists on it whose names I'm afraid I'm going to butcher. Gurella Burseco and Simon Bisley. I hope I got those right.
Yeah, we butcher stuff around here all the time, so hey.
Comic artist names are just really hard, I've noticed. There's
I'm to names like Walt Simonson, George Perez,
John Romita. We
Senior
lost
or junior?
Either. They're both easy. That's 2 easy ones there then. But anyway, so this book might not be everything people are hoping for the finale of this series going forward, but what you do get is 2 really nice stories. One of them is about Malekith, the Accursed, he was big in the most recent Thor movie, a little bit of an origin of him, and another tale of young Thor back when he was a bit more reckless and rambunctious. If you've been following the series, you know it sort of goes between the 3 different eras of Thor.
Right.
So, definitely a really good read, just might not be exactly what you expect, but I enjoyed it, I read it, and I'm definitely going to be sticking around to see the new stuff too.
Yeah. See the Lady Thor, or Thor as a woman.
Right.
However,
whatever's going on with that, I want to know what's happening.
Now, can you tell us whether or not Thor's still stuck lifting the hammer?
I mean, it's the last, it's sort of the end, but there is, I know you were a big fan of the image, but no, he's having a little bit of difficulty.
But there's not a pill for that.
No, it almost does look like some kind of ED or something. Hopefully things will get straight soon.
Okay. Alright, so next up we have Brian Michael Bendis and Mahmoud Asrar, all new X-Men. This cover looks very familiar. If you've seen this before, we've seen this lots of times over the decades with Kitty Pryde and Rogue and several other folk, but not exactly what I expected. In this book, what has happened is that all of the kids at the Xavier School have been teleported into many different places. You got one character that got somehow teleported to Latveria. You have X-23 that got transported some places being chased by cops. Kind of typical. And then of course you have Bobby that somehow got stuck with the Morlocks. I'm sorry, not the Morlocks, the Mole Man. I wanted to say the Morlocks because they initially look like the Mole Man. I said, oh, Mole Man. Oh, boy.
They're pretty similar. People underground.
They're all underground. And then somehow Jean Grey ends up in Miles Morales' universe. And her story is the one that we need to be concerned with the most because she just totally got pushed out of the Marvel 616 universe.
Right.
So that's what the meat of this book was about. And you know, it's days like this when I read Bendis' work, it's like every once in a while I want to ask him, like, you know, what are you thinking about, and how are you going to get these 2 universes to coincide? Because I think Marvel has not yet figured out whether or not they want to get rid of the Ultimate Universe, or bring it in and make it inclusive, or how is this whole thing supposed to work? Because I mean, last year you had the whole thing with Age of Ultron that seemingly was going to meld those universes together. Marvel was talking about getting rid of the whole thing. You had Spider-Man when Peter Parker
came over and they all met up, and it seems that they just don't know 100% what they want to be doing. And they keep flip-flopping on it. But, I mean, the stuff like anything with Miles Morales, like Ultimate Spider-Man and stuff like that, it's usually pretty good. And I didn't read but this was, you'd say it's pretty good?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It wasn't as hokey as it could have been, but it's just with everything else that's going on, the book pretty much ends on a cliffhanger on all the fronts. Again, one character's in Latveria, another one's stuck underground with the Mole Man, another one's being chased by cops, and another one's in an entirely different reality.
I think I can't think of any comic books I read that didn't end on a complete cliffhanger. So
everything is just left dangling. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm kind of glad that this is going on, because for a while I've been contemplating getting off of all new X-Men, because my issue with Brian Michael Bendis is that he gets very talky in a lot of his books. You get 2 or 3 books where nothing at all goes on except talk. And it seems like just when I'm about to step off,
something pulls you back.
Yeah, and this is a pulls me back. So, as always, no. He's actually got to the end of the year. Because at the end of the year is when I usually go back and I reevaluate everything that I'm reading. Okay, what do I need to cut? What do I need to cut? And right now, of course, with Marvel's Axis coming in,
Right, there's going to be a lot.
It's going to be a lot of change going on. You got, of course, Death of Wolverine. You got Captain America being switched over. You got the whole Spider-Man multiverse, which is I'm going to talk about next. You got a whole bunch of stuff coming up that supposedly is going to change the Marvel Universe. And my question is, between now and the end of the year, prove it.
Right, so hopefully Bendis is watching this and heard that, and he's writing something special for you right now.
Even might not, he just might. If not, I have a way to get it to him. I have a couple of ways actually. So
that's pretty good.
What you got next, man?
So my next book, this one is it's Stray Bullets by David Lapham. This one's a little more. It's an image book, so they're known for doing a lot of sort of independent stuff, and this is a series that David Lapham actually did in the 90s and sort of came back with recently. I actually only read the first 2 issues and then just sort of picked up this one again. It's entirely done by him, the story, art, everything. It's black and white. He does pencils, inking, and all that stuff. Pretty much, it's just it's sort of like it's almost like a TV show that sort of goes between different characters. Very dark material, a lot of crime and drug things. Basically, the short version of this is there's a girl who some ties to different criminal life actually in Baltimore. Another reason I like it is because actually some of the stories do take place around, and of course criminals end up in
somehow we just get the whole criminal element in Baltimore. You got the wire, homicide.
So it's a girl with some crime in her past and her new boyfriend who's from the Baltimore beaches. I think it may have actually been Delaware. I think they named Rehoboth possibly. Anyway, so her boyfriend's a guy with a prosthetic leg, and they're basically going back and visiting some of her old friends. Something bad happens. If you have ever read this book before, bad stuff is always happening. And basically it's a good combination of sort of that like gritty crime story, but also like a few more human parts. There was one page in particular.
Stop a second. I actually did like the nod to the Orioles, and she actually, believe it or not, she's actually wearing like a throwback Eddie Murray.
I don't know if you guys can see, but he's very true to his subject material.
Yeah, she's actually wearing a throwback Eddie Murray jersey.
So it's just basically, it's a gritty, here's it, with some kids climbing all over him and playing with his leg.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a combination of like a gritty crime story, and nothing ever is going to end well. It always gets very close to that. It's going to be good, this time it'll be different, and it never does. But it also balances that pretty well with just some regular sort of slice of life story. It's definitely a different kind of book. If you're getting tired of superhero books and things like that, definitely a really good cure for that. And I'm really a big fan of David Lapham. Again, he does all of the work on this book, and it's consistently really good. And if you're afraid of just like picking somewhere up and starting again, I read first 2, skipped it for a while. This is 7, and I was able to figure out what was going on. So I'd say it's definitely a good place to grab it if you haven't read before.
And see, I've always said that about Image. Image is like my go-to for everything else. Okay, if I really kind of want to read Capes and Powers, but I don't want to go through the whole headache of trying to stay with continuity, you got Invincible.
Right.
If I want to get my laugh on, there's Shoot. And there are so many other titles I could just run off, and then sometimes you could just look for stuff. Matter of fact, let me just step off camera 1 second, because there's actually a book I haven't read yet, but it's on my list. Oddly Normal, and this is number 1. Oddly Normal. I have no idea what it's about. I looked at the cover.
I like the art.
Yeah, I flipped through. I said, okay, might have to give this a try. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so my last book for tonight is Edge of the Spider-Verse with Gwen Stacey. And anybody that's been keeping up with what's going on with Spider-Man, all of what's going on with Spider-Man is quote unquote happening off camera, because Doc Ock or Otto
you
Parker,
can't talk about it without being very confused.
He's running around trying to stop this one character from killing all the spiders. Because this one character is going through different multiverses and killing different versions of Spider-Man. So, of course, while Dan Slott is telling that story, you have Jason Latour and Robbie Rodriguez talking about this particular Spider-Person, which is done by Gwen Stacey. Yes, in this universe, Gwen Stacy's still alive. Peter Parker died. She was left responsible. Now, I would say, like, in this one book, the story's being told similar to how you have James Gordon and Batgirl. Whereas James Gordon's been chasing after Batgirl but has no idea of who Batgirl is, of course, and then same thing, because both her and her father are still alive in this book. So this is kind of like an in-between story, but Gwen is part of a band, and you know, she's got to choose her responsibilities wisely, of course, and then in the process of trying to figure out what she's going to do with her life, you know, she's got to fight off trigger-fingered cops and gangsters trying to kill her father. Also, Matt Murdock shows up as a kingpin, as the kingpin's boy.
What?
So yeah, everything.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and these
is he really fat? Or?
No. He's not the king. The kingpin doesn't make an appearance, which prompted the question from John, one of the guys that works in here, as to whether or not Matt Murdock's actually the kingpin, and the kingpin's like this mythical figure, or if he's really just one of his lackeys.
Yeah.
So it's like this is one of those universes where everything is just kind of twisted up. But I did like the design.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of Moon Knight-ish, but you know, it still gets the job done of giving her like a Spider-Man-ish appearance, and of course she has webs and all that. But the ending is kind of a twist. Because needless to say, certain things about what goes on in these books when you have those situations of people knowing who you are or who you might not be doesn't get dragged out. But I think this is pretty good issues. This is something to watch out for because, again, this is something, when this whole Marvel axis kicks in, I got a feeling this will be one of the repercussions. Matter of fact, it does end saying that she's supposed to show up in one of the Amazing Spider-Man issues. I won't say which one. All I can tell you to do, if you're out at your comic book store today, your Spider-Man fan, pick this up. So, on that note, we're going to wrap this up for this week in the Planetary Pull. Don't forget to visit Big Planet Comics at www.bigplanetcomics.com. Also, don't forget to check us out at popcultureuncovered.com. We'll see you guys next week.
See you around.